You look at your own body. There are no marks, no drawing, no phrase engraved on the skin, and that was never a problem for you. You don't criticize those who do it. It was never about right or wrong. He just never felt the urge. He never called. It never made sense. People ask. They always ask. Why have you never gotten a tattoo? You respond calmly. No judgment, no criticism. Everyone does what they feel is right. But deep down, it's not a lack of courage. It's a silent conviction. You respect those who express themselves through their skin. He thinks it's beautiful. Do you think that's valid? But something inside you doesn't ask for that. It doesn't pulse. Don't call. You don't feel the need to prove anything, not even marking the body in order to exist. You exist in silence, and that's enough. There is a type of person who feels everything deep inside, that doesn't need to be shown, that doesn't need to be registered, which he prefers to keep. You've always been like this, observer, discreet, more restrained, not out of fear of the world, but out of loyalty to oneself. You understand that body image is a choice, and she chose not to get a tattoo, not as a rule, not because of any obvious trauma, but due to internal alignment, as if to say, that's not me, and may he rest in peace. No lengthy explanation needed, no need to convince anyone. If you've never had a tattoo, this doesn't make you any better or any worse, just different. Perhaps more introspective, perhaps more careful, perhaps more connected to what he feels than to what he shows. You don't judge, you just know what you don't want. And that clarity speaks volumes. Very much so. There's a silent dilemma going on inside. It's not about tattoos, it's about choice. Regarding identity, regarding not following something just because everyone else is doing it. You feel it, but you rarely put it into words, because it seems too simple, but also too deep. And almost no one understands that. Then you keep it. Many people experience this. They feel something similar, but they don't know how to explain it. They don't know what to name it. They just know they don't want to. And that bothers those who look from the outside, because the world likes labels. He likes visible signs. He likes outdoor events, and you don't offer that. Have you ever wondered why? Why this lack of willpower? Why this quiet certainty? Why this refusal without anger? It's not rebellion. It's not rigidity. It's something more subtle, something internal, something that doesn't scream. It just remains. There's an emotional element to it, a trait of someone who thinks before acting, who measures the impact, of those who are not driven by impulse. You experience life deeply, but he responds with restraint. He prefers the indoor to the outdoor. The meaning of the symbol. Silence followed the announcement, and that shapes their choices. Perhaps you've already felt the pressure. Perhaps you felt strange before, as if it were out of the ordinary, as if something were missing from you. But it's not lacking, it was never lacking. What exists is a unique way of doing things, a particular way of being in the world, less on display, more aware. This dilemma is not visible, but it's real. It's the tension between being yourself and meet their expectations, between respecting the other and to respect oneself as well. Avoid over-explaining or simply accept it. Ultimately, you choose silence because he protects you. This behavior doesn't come from nowhere. It forms gradually, in small experiments, in environments where thinking was safer than acting, where observation came before exposure. You learned early on to weigh consequences, to feel it first, to act later. And sometimes, it's about not acting. Because not everything needed to be done. When someone grows up like that, the body becomes a territory of care, not out of extreme fear, but with profound respect. You don't feel like scheduling, because he doesn't miss it. Your identity does not depend on external signs. It's already organized inside. And that's not coldness. It's an emotional structure. There are people who express themselves outwardly, what they feel inside. And there are people who do the opposite. They feel everything. They process everything. And only then do they choose whether to reveal themselves. You belong to that second group, more reflective, more restrained. Be more selective about what you reveal. In childhood, this usually appears early. Perhaps you were praised for being mature, because I am responsible, because it doesn't require much work. Think before you act. And without realizing it, he learned that being in control is safe. Waiting is better than taking risks. Permanence is worth more than momentum. And that pattern stuck. It's not that you're afraid of change. It's because you don't change without reason. You don't do something just to feel something. You need meaning, coherence, internal alignment. If that doesn't exist, the body doesn't respond. The desire doesn't appear, and you accept. So when someone asks, the answer seems simple. I just never had the desire. But there's a story behind all of that. There is emotional development involved. There is a way for it to work. You don't reject the new. You just filter. Take it easy. With awareness, imagine someone sitting in a simple room, low light, late afternoon. The cell phone vibrates with photos of friends, marked arms, stories drawn on the skin. She observes. She smiled slightly. He feels no envy. She doesn't feel rejected. You only feel distance. Someone asks. Someone always asks. Have you ever thought about making one? The response is automatic. I don't feel like it. The subject changes. But inside, an echo remains. Without a doubt. Perception. To feel different without wanting to be. This person has already thought about this. He has already reflected in silence. Have you ever wondered if something was missing? If it was a blockade, it was hidden fear. But every time you look inside, the answer is the same. It doesn't hurt not to have it. It doesn't bother me not to score. The problem arises just from explaining it. She feels very sorry. Feel it deep. But he doesn't feel the need to show it. He learned that some things are private. Not everything needs to be translated into a symbol. The body is not a mural. It is a place of presence. And that's enough for her. Even if the world thinks it's not enough. Sometimes she imagines it. What would it be like if I had done something just to please others? Just so I won't be questioned. And you feel an immediate discomfort. As if betraying something inside. Something quiet. Something true. And he understands. Not doing it is also a choice, and it needs to be respected. This person doesn't think they're special. He doesn't feel superior. He doesn't feel excessive pride. She simply recognizes herself. Recognize your own rhythm, the very way of existing. While some shout about who they are, she whispers. But what she feels is real, even if no one sees it. What almost no one realizes, it's about how internal that choice is. You can't avoid tattoos. You avoid acting against yourself. There's a silent coherence there, an invisible commitment. You only do what you feel completely, and when you don't feel it, no force. Even under pressure. From the outside you seem ordinary, discreet, perhaps even too neutral. But inside, there are layers, deep thoughts, constant questioning. You analyze before deciding, sit before you act, and prefers not to do it. Doing something without conviction. There is also a hidden concern, with one's own body, with its own history. You don't want to schedule something, at a time that could change, not out of fear of the future, but out of respect for the present. You know that things change, and accept it. Just don't want to fixate on something that doesn't represent everything. Many people mistake this for coldness or rigidity, but it isn't. It is organized sensitivity. It's emotion that thinks. It's a feeling with a break on it. You feel it deeply, but doesn't react to everything. Choose what deserves space. And that includes the body itself. What are you hiding? It's not insecurity, it's profound. It's the fact that you don't need to prove who you are. You don't use your body as a response to the world. You use silence, behavior, daily choices. And this goes unnoticed, in a world that only sees what is visible. Deep down, this absence of a brand, it speaks more than it seems. It's about self-control, with a solid identity, from someone who doesn't get lost easily. You might change your mind someday. And if it changes, that's fine. But if it never changes, that's fine too. Because your choice comes from within. And almost no one sees that. This way of being doesn't go unnoticed. He leaves invisible marks. Why live with such strict rules? It's tiring. You overthink things before deciding. It weighs too heavily before acting. And sometimes he lets it go. What could have been experienced with more ease? Not out of regret, but out of an abundance of caution. In relationships, it appears silently. You take a long time to open up. It takes time to build trust. Don't give everything away at once. People sometimes don't understand. They think you're distant, but you're just being careful. You protect what you feel, because he knows how much it hurts to get lost. Self-esteem also feels affected, not because of a lack of value, but by constant comparison. You see the world showing off, asserting itself through symbols. And he wonders silently if your way is enough, being discreet is enough, even knowing deep down that it is true. The doubt will pass, but come back. In important decisions, this standard is burdensome. You take too long. Check it. Go back mentally. Create scenarios. And sometimes you miss the right time. Not because he chose wrong, but because I wanted to choose the perfect one. And perfection rarely arrives. So you learn to live with it. With the what if. The future is also affected. Because whoever controls too much gets tired early. You hold everything together from the inside. It doesn't divide that much. It doesn't externalize as much. And it adds up. It becomes silent tension. It turns into emotional exhaustion. Turn that feeling of always holding something. None of that defines you as weak. But it does show a cost. The cost of being too whole on the inside and too restrained on the outside. To avoid making obvious mistakes. To not allow oneself to change in public. You pay with silence, with internal weight, experiencing emotional loneliness at times, even when surrounded by people. You are not broken. It never was. What's inside you? It's a story of excessive caution, taking on emotional responsibility too early, learning to hold on when perhaps you could loosen up a little. This is not a defect. It's adaptation. And every adaptation has its limits, which can be reviewed. Changing this pattern doesn't mean becoming a different person. It's not about forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do. It's not about marking the body, or by exposing oneself to the world. It's something more subtle, more honest. It's about allowing small choices without so much pressure. It's about accepting that not everything needs to be permanent. Making mistakes doesn't erase who you are. Change doesn't betray you. You can continue to be discreet and still be lighter. You can continue respecting your own pace without living in a constant state of alert. You can continue not wanting a tattoo and yet allow yourself to express yourself more, speak more, divide more, without fear of losing control. Because control is not eternal protection. When you understand this, something loosens inside. Stiffness decreases. Internal pressure lowers the tone. You start to realize that you don't need to hold back so much. That can live experiences without engraving them on the skin and without recording them as guilt. Life ceases to be a test, and it becomes a lawsuit. This change isn't noisy. It's not visible. It happens in silence. It's up to you to decide, in the way you allow yourself to. In the way you talk about yourself without needing to justify it so much. You come into existence without constantly asking for internal permission. And that changes everything. You don't need to prove anything. Not even changing in order to be accepted. Nor should we remain the same out of fear. You just need to listen to yourself with less rigidity and more kindness. Because when care becomes imprisonment, it stops being cared for. And you deserve more than just surviving in silence. Maybe you'll never get a tattoo. And that's okay. Maybe one day I will. And everything will be all right too. Because the point was never the skin. It has always been what you carry inside. Care, silence, consciousness. Loyalty to oneself. You don't live to leave marks on your body. You live so you don't get lost. And this, in a noisy world, it's rare. It's profound. It's lonely sometimes. But he's also honest. You don't act on impulse. He doesn't make decisions under pressure. You hear something inside. And respect. If someone never understood your choice, perhaps it's because it's never needed to. To live so much with one's own inner world. You live together. Every day, you think. Sit down. Reflect. And choose carefully. This doesn't show up in photos. It doesn't become a symbol. But it shapes who you are. Not doing anything is also a stance. Not wanting to is also valid. Not feeling like it is also an answer. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being consistent. There's no need to justify being different. His way of being is not absence. It is a silent presence. It's identity without advertising. It's firmness without noise. And that carries a weight that few can bear. Perhaps you have spent your life wondering if it was strange, if something was missing, if a change was needed. Today, perhaps you will realize it wasn't a foul, it was a choice. It was a unique way of existing, and this doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be understood. If this video spoke to you, if it made sense somewhere in there, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, turn on notifications. Here we talk about things that almost no one talks about, of that which hurts in silence, of that which does not appear, and sometimes it only needs to be said once, to relieve years of internal burden.